whispers beneath the permafrost. Ice preserves many secrets, but one question rises above all others. How could objects requiring advanced engineering appear in soil untouched since the last glacial age? The Siberian tundra, wide and bleak, holds an unease that settles into anyone who studies it long enough. Wind drags frozen dust across the ground, as if guarding something buried far deeper than roots. And within that silence, a discovery emerged that unsettled even the most cautious researchers. In a remote valley near the Ural foothills, soil cores revealed metallic spirals far too precise for the world they came from. Their age defied every expectation. Their geometry challenged every assumption. The samples were first collected during a routine geological survey. Workers expected sand, silt, and mineral traces from ancient meltwater streams. Instead, the microscope revealed coils so uniform that each turn reflected deliberate calculation. Tungsten and molybdenum, metals requiring high heat and controlled refinement, formed these tiny structures. They were smaller than seeds. They were shaped with impossible symmetry. And they rested in untouched layers, dated to a time when humanity lacked even the simplest metal blades. Scholars proposed contamination, but deeper cores yielded the same spirals, each identical, each preserved in sediments sealed long before historical civilization took form. The anomaly invited scrutiny. Field notes described the permafrost as stable, undisturbed for tens of millennia. Excavation logs recorded no evidence of mining, camps, or modern debris. Yet the spirals behaved like engineered components, suggesting rotational machining or microfabrication practices unknown to ancient societies. Their consistency, measured in fractions of a millimeter, ruled out natural formation. Variations were almost non-existent, and that stability hinted at an origin more sophisticated than any Bronze Age workshop. The mystery expanded when metallurgists concluded the alloys matched industrial-grade purity. That level of refinement demanded temperatures far beyond primitive furnaces. It suggested a workshop capable of precise thermal control, and no known culture from that era possessed such skill. Mainstream archaeology offered a cautious explanation. Unknown cultural techniques, now lost. Perhaps early humans developed localized methods of heating or shaping metal that never spread. Yet this reasoning faltered under scrutiny. No matching tools, slag, or infrastructure had ever been found in the region. Adjacent layers revealed simple stone points and bone tools, nothing remotely connected to metallurgical innovation. The spirals, in contrast, mirrored the precision of modern wire coils or mechanical sensors. Their purpose remained unclear. They could be decorative, functional, symbolic, or entirely alien to our understanding of craft. Still, their presence disrupted everything scholars believed about technological timelines. Opposing theories emerged. Some proposed remnants of a forgotten culture erased by the last ice age. Others suggested long-distance contact with an unidentified technological society. A few ventured even further, raising the idea of non-human intelligence, leaving traces in a landscape humans later inherited. None of these claims could be proven, yet each attempt to explain the spirals introduced new contradictions. Why only spirals? Why such advanced metalwork, yet no broader cultural footprint? Why here, in one of the most inhospitable regions on Earth? The tundra gave no answers. It only preserved the quiet weight of possibility. In the end, the Siberian spirals remain a puzzle lodged between geology and imagination. They challenge the notion that innovation follows a straight line. They hint at hands, or forces, capable of shaping metal with microscopic accuracy long before the rise of settled civilizations. And they remind us that the deeper we dig, the more fragile our certainties become. The frozen ground may hold countless stories we have not yet learned to read. each one whispering that our past is far more complex than we once believed. The machine marks of the necropolis in the barren sands of Saqqara, just south of Cairo, the dead rest beneath millennia of dust. Tombs crumble, inscriptions fade. But in a lesser-known site near the ruins of Abu Sar, a discovery shattered the boundaries of what archaeologists believed possible for the ancient world. Carved deep beneath collapsed chambers, cylindrical stone tubes emerged, massive, symmetrical, and impossibly refined. Their origin? Officially dynastic Egypt. Their workmanship? Something else entirely. Each tube appeared carved from dense stone, granite, basalt, and diorite, the kind of material that modern diamond-tipped tools struggle to cut cleanly. Yet the interior surfaces gleamed with precision. Smooth, circular hollows ran the length of each piece. No chisel marks, no fractures, no evidence of trial and error. Just clean, consistent geometry, as if shaped by a rotating blade or advanced lathe. The diameters were uniform, the thickness constant to within fractions of a millimeter. Forensic scans later confirmed what the naked eye already suspected. These were not hand-hewn objects. They bore the signature of mechanical intervention. Mainstream interpretations leaned on the ingenuity of the Egyptians, suggesting slow abrasion over years using sand and copper tools. But as more tubes emerged, each identical in scale and finish, those explanations collapsed under their own weight. Copper is too soft. Sand is too unpredictable. And such uniformity across dozens of artifacts hints at repeatable industrial processes. Not spiritual symbolism, not funerary art, but engineering. Some tubes were found still embedded within stone blocks, their function unclear. Drainage? Ritual conduits? Early mechanical components? No one could say. But their presence deep inside the necropolis, where access was limited and lighting poor, only added to the enigma. A few independent engineers, intrigued by the tolerances, proposed a heretical idea. These artifacts were not products of the Bronze Age, but remnants of a lost technological tradition, one that existed before Egypt's rise. Perhaps the Egyptians inherited more than myths from the past. Perhaps they built atop ruins already ancient to them. Such suggestions met resistance. They threatened to unravel timelines that generations of scholars had fought to stabilize. Yet the tubes defied dismissal. They were too precise, too numerous, too deliberate. Alternative theories emerged. Some claimed the tubes were remnants of a pre-cataclysmic civilization whose tools and machines were erased in floods, wars, or cosmic events. Others pointed to similarities with lathing methods used in Renaissance Europe, an eerie anachronism, if true. No inscriptions, no religious motifs, no names marked the tubes. They were silent, functional, as if meant to serve, not to signify. And that silence disturbed more than it clarified. The desert has a way of preserving both bones and secrets. In the golden light of dusk, the sands shift just enough to hint at things still buried. The Abu Sar cylinders remain untouched now, locked away in archives or sealed chambers, awaiting a theory bold enough to encompass them. They pose a simple question that cuts through centuries of dogma. How can we explain a level of craftsmanship that even today requires specialized machinery, appearing in a place where such machines should never have existed? Perhaps history is not just incomplete. Perhaps parts of it were deliberately forgotten. These weren't abstractions. They were replications. Engineers took interest. In wind tunnel simulations, scaled-up models of the pendants performed like gliders. Lift, stability, control surfaces. The discussion shifted from metaphor to mechanism. Why would an ancient people design objects that behaved like aircraft thousands of years before powered flight? The prevailing explanation insisted coincidence. symbolic stylization. Perhaps tribal memory distorted through art, but the question refused to settle. Why include stabilizers if birds never had them? Why shape something so perfectly aerodynamic without needing to? Some proposed that the pendants represented sky gods or shamanic visions. Others speculated they were crafted from ancestral stories, stories of lights in the sky, of visitors descending, of shapes that soared without flapping. Oral traditions from the region mention beings that arrived in gold birds and machines that hummed with no wings. Most scholars dismiss such myths as allegory, but the pendants suggest something more literal might be hiding behind poetic language. The civilization responsible, the Tairona, were skilled goldsmiths. Their mastery of filigree and casting is undisputed. But these forms stood apart from ritual jewelry. Their precision, design, and abstraction carried a purpose beyond ornamentation. Perhaps they were ceremonial, perhaps they were memories cast in gold. But their resemblance to modern aircraft was too exact to ignore. To this day, no clear function has been established for these figures. They don't align with known religious symbols. They weren't worn as earrings or necklaces. Some were found buried in isolation, others among graves. But all shared the same mysterious profile. It's as if the artisans had seen something, just once, maybe in the distance, maybe described by a traveler, and chose to preserve it, not as myth, but as model. Gold doesn't rust, but our understanding of history often does. These tiny artifacts, unmoving and silent, challenge us to ask whether flight, true controlled flight, was observed long before it was achieved. And if so, who or what was flying? Dragons that listen in the heart of ancient China's imperial capital, a bronze sphere once stood in quiet command. 8 dragons encircled its body, each poised with jaws open, cradling small metal balls that never moved until the earth did. What scholars believed to be a symbolic sculpture turned out to be something far stranger, a machine that could feel distant earthquakes and respond to them with eerie precision, centuries before seismology existed. The device, known today as the Haofeng Daidong Yi, was attributed to Zhang Heng, a polymath of the Eastern Han dynasty. Historical texts claim the instrument detected tremors hundreds of kilometers away, and even indicated their direction by dropping a ball from the mouth of the corresponding dragon. Modern engineers, intrigued and skeptical, tried to replicate the feat. Each attempt fell short. For such directional sensitivity, the internal system would need to distinguish between subtle ground vibrations, redirect motion through an unseen network of levers or pendulums, and trigger only the correct release. All without electricity, without sensors, without digital calibration. No surviving blueprint explains the mechanism. The descriptions are poetic, vague, bound to the language of the era. And yet multiple records insist the device worked. In one notable instance, the machine signaled a quake in the northwest. Days later, a messenger confirmed that a distant province had indeed suffered an earthquake, one that had gone unnoticed in the capital itself. The evidence suggested not only detection, but spatial awareness, built into bronze nearly 2 millennia ago. The mystery deepens when considering metallurgy and design. For the device to function as described, it would have required perfectly balanced internal structures, likely involving a central mass, suspended and reactive, triggering directional releases. The tolerances needed would challenge even modern machinists. How could artisans, working with hand tools, create such balance, such harmony between sensitivity and strength? How could they achieve precise response without false positives from nearby carts, footsteps, or wind? Skeptics argue the device was ceremonial, its reputation inflated by legend. But replicas built under those assumptions fail to replicate its performance. Others theorize that Zhang Heng accessed knowledge passed down from earlier, forgotten sources, knowledge not recorded but embodied in practice. Some go further still, proposing that the device's origins predate the Han entirely, inherited or rediscovered by a mind capable of translating lost principles into working form. The Hofeng Daidong Yi remains an artifact suspended in time, too advanced for its context, too well documented to be dismissed. If it functioned as described, it calls into question the limits we assign to ancient engineering. It suggests a different kind of intelligence, one rooted not in trial and error, but in a profound understanding of motion, vibration, and mechanical balance. Beneath its dragons, the device listened, and through its silence, it left a message still echoing today. Some of the world's most sophisticated machines were not born from wires and code, but from bronze, myth, and forgotten genius. The faces that never aged beneath the rolling hills of the Central Balkans, archaeologists expected crude tools, fragmented pottery, and rough stone idols from the Neolithic era. What they unearthed instead, buried in silence near the ancient village of Vincha, were figures unlike any other in European prehistory. Carved from clay but crafted with an almost clinical symmetry, these humanoid statues seemed less like relics of tribal worship and more like fragments of an intelligence we no longer recognize. Their faces were sharp-edged, geometric. Eyes, almond-shaped, oversized, expressionless, stared forward with eerie calm. Bodies were stiff, encased in segmented patterns like armor or mechanical plating. Some wore etched lines across their torsos that mimicked joints or panels. Others bore markings too precise to be decorative, too regular to be natural. As the figures were catalogued, a chilling realization took hold. These were not symbols of fertility or nature. They were neither animal nor human. They looked manufactured. The Vincha culture, dated to over 7,000 years ago, predated both Mesopotamia and Egypt. And yet these artifacts suggested a visual language and a design sophistication that should not have existed in the Neolithic Balkans. Traditional interpretations labeled them idols or ancestors, but their features resisted those labels. They didn't resemble the people who made them. They didn't even resemble anything from the world those people knew. Some researchers proposed that the figures were symbolic, spiritual manifestations, otherworldly deities imagined through ritual. But the mechanical precision of their forms told a different story. The faces were too uniform, the angles too consistent, and the complete lack of natural anatomy pushed them further from myth and closer to model. One theory, controversial and largely dismissed, suggested these were attempts to replicate something seen, beings, machines, or travelers whose forms were preserved in memory and clay. A handful of figures stood apart entirely: elongated skulls, sloped shoulders, flat masks with no mouths. In them, some saw echoes of the ancient astronaut hypothesis. Others, more cautiously, speculated that the Vincha artisans had encountered, or inherited, the concept of artificial intelligence long before metallurgy, script, or wheels. None of it could be proven. It could. But the artifacts raised a question modern history couldn't answer. What kind of vision, what kind of memory, leads a culture without cities or written language to sculpt objects that look engineered rather than imagined? Even more mysterious was the fact that these figures were buried in deliberate arrangements, often in groups, facing east, as if awaiting return. Some were found within dwellings, sealed under thresholds, positioned like guardians. The symbolism remained undeciphered, but the placement spoke of reverence, not of gods perhaps, but of something remembered and feared, something that did not belong to the ordinary world. Vincha's silent statues whisper through their stillness. They challenge not only the chronology of technology, but also the boundaries between invention and observation. What if humanity once saw machines, not in dreams or myths, but in daylight? And what if clay became the only language to preserve what words could never explain? Signals in the stone. High in the Peruvian Andes, where thin air turns breath to frost and clouds cling to jagged cliffs, lies a plateau etched with geometric impossibilities. Near the ruins of Sacsayhuaman, massive stone blocks rest in interlocking patterns so seamless that not even a blade of grass can slip between them. Their weight? Some exceed 100 tons. Their shape? Irregular yet flawless in fit. The question, how did a civilization without iron tools or the wheel construct such enduring precision? Mainstream archaeology credits the Inca, whose empire rose in the 15th century. But these megaliths predate the Inca by centuries, if not millennia. And unlike typical Incan stonework, smaller, more modular, the walls of Sacsayhuaman reveal no mortar, no tool marks consistent with copper chisels. Instead, their surfaces are smoothed, sometimes curved, as though softened like clay and molded into place. One block curves at 7 points to fit the stones around it. The odds of such placement through trial and error are mathematically staggering. Local legends speak of the sons of the sun, beings with tools that could sing to the stone, making it pliable. At first dismissed as myth, these stories gained new relevance as researchers observed the magnetism of the site. Compasses behave erratically. Static energy builds near certain formations. Some stones contain high quartz concentrations, materials that respond to vibration. Was it possible, as some suggested, that resonance played a role in construction? Could sound or frequency have been used to manipulate matter in ways now forgotten? Alternative researchers proposed lost technologies, perhaps chemical compounds or sonic devices that could weaken stone temporarily. Others noted the lack of inscriptions, tools, or abandoned quarries nearby. If these walls were the product of generations of labor, why did no one document the process? Why was it never repeated elsewhere with the same scale and perfection? The precision itself raises eyebrows. Laser scanning has revealed angular tolerances within millimeters across entire walls. Earthquake resistance appears built into the design. The puzzle-like joints flex without collapsing. Some believe the layout isn't just structural, it's informational. A few blocks, when mapped, reflect star patterns. Others align with solstices. Was Sacsayhuaman merely a fortress? Or was it a machine of stone, encoding knowledge, absorbing energy, or conducting rituals tied to cosmic cycles? Despite extensive study, modern engineers cannot replicate the feat with the same raw materials and absence of industrial tools. Theories abound, from lost civilizations to extraterrestrial contact, but none satisfy all the variables. The stones remain, unyielding and unreadable, as if guarding a message embedded not in language, but in structure. Sacsayhuaman doesn't just defy gravity, it defies explanation. Its walls speak in angles and mass, not in glyphs, and as the mountain wind howls through the ancient corridors, one question remains: were these stones placed to protect something, or to warn us of something we've long since forgotten? Echoes from the Forbidden Chamber. Beneath the dense canopy of Cambodia's jungles, swallowed by time and roots, lies a temple complex that once rivaled the grandeur of any ancient city. Angkor Wat is well known, but deep within the lesser-explored corridors of Ta Prohm, archaeologists encountered something that does not fit into any established timeline. A sealed chamber, its entrance hidden beneath collapsed sandstone and banyan limbs. When finally opened, it revealed more than dust. It revealed a fresco, and within that faded wall carving stood a creature out of time. To the untrained eye, the carving looked like an animal, but its plates, the positioning of its tail, and the crown-like structure on its back matched no known species in the region. Except one, a stegosaurus. Not a stylized lizard, not a mythical beast, but a form indistinguishable from paleontological reconstructions. The image sparked instant controversy. Dinosaurs, as we understand them, vanished 65 million years ago. No human should have ever seen one. And yet here was an image carved in stone, surrounded by 12th century Khmer motifs, sitting quietly among elephants and lions. Mainstream scholars proposed symbolic explanation. Perhaps the artist was depicting a rhinoceros adorned with leaves, or it was merely coincidence. But the anatomical specificity, especially in the tail and back plates, resisted such dismissal. The Khmer artisans were renowned for accuracy. They portrayed flora and fauna in striking detail. Why would they distort just one creature? And why does no legend or story explain its inclusion? The chamber itself raised more questions. Unlike other sections of the temple, its layout mirrored celestial alignments. Inscriptions referenced the beasts that walk with thunder, and a now faded mural hinted at beings descending in flames. No bones, no artifacts, no tools were found inside. Only stone, silence, and the unsettling sense that something had been deliberately sealed away. Alternative theories flourished. Some claimed lost records of fossil discoveries passed down orally and finally carved into myth. Others insisted the image was based on sightings, creatures that survived extinction in isolated regions, only to vanish later. The most extreme theories invoked non-human intelligences sharing knowledge with ancient builders. None of these ideas could be proved, yet none could be disproved either. In modern times, the carving has become a battleground. Scientists, historians, and fringe theorists all stake claims. But the jungle remains unmoved. Vines tighten, walls sink, the past sinks deeper. What the chamber truly held, memory, vision, or illusion, remains sealed in stone. Perhaps we ask the wrong questions. Instead of asking how the carving exists, we should ask why we are so certain it shouldn't. Because if one image can challenge the boundary between science and memory, what else have we failed to see? What other stories remain hidden in dust, waiting for eyes brave enough to look beyond what we think we know? Subscribe to the channel, leave comments, and share the videos.